Oh, happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. We're going to try to bring you guys a double dose of Prime Sports World on today's episode, or today's series of episodes. We talk about the crossover here today, and then in the later episode, we're going to talk about the NFL, the NFC East, as we look at their off season. I'm David Huppin, right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins, and on today's version of the crossover, we're going to talk about load management, hot topic around the National Basketball Association over the last couple seasons. And then we're going to talk about the award debate, who we think is going to take over some hardware as we check back in halfway through the season. And then we're going to do some something, nothing, everything. And then TJ's got us a GOAT talk for today's episode. But yeah, I'm David Huppin, your host. Right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins, my co-host. And if you haven't heard of us before, we're Prime Sports World. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. If you do happen to miss us live, we also have a bunch of streaming platforms you can check out, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. I'll share the link to that right now. Also, I will share the StreamYard link. So if you want to join us to talk a little NBA action, more than welcome to do so as well. TJ, happy Thursday, man. It's going to take a turn for the worse weather-wise here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We are under a weather alert day, which does not mean I get to miss work. I still have to go to work because, obviously.
Same. It's not going to happen till, by the time the weather hits us, the kids are already going to be in school and all that other good stuff. So the only thing I can hope for is that they cancel after school activities, which has been happening, which tends to happen. So if it's too bad, then they'll just say everything after 3 o'clock is canceled, go home.
Well, I was hoping to drive back to Chicago as soon as I got off work. We'll see what happens with the weather there. I'm still planning on doing that, but we'll see. But yeah, let's talk about the NBA. Let's talk about some load management. The problem, load management. So the issue, players getting paid a ton of money but missing games with no injury to justify the absence. Fans paying big money to see star players only for them to be quote-unquote load managed. This trend started kind of with the Spurs and Greg Popovich when he used to rest his older stars, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, all those guys. There's been a fury of current and former players. Anthony Edwards just recently during All-Star Weekend complaining about this particular trend. And you don't see this in any other professional sport where players missing time to preserve them from later. You see that in the National Football League. Most of the time, players are playing almost all 17 games, unless they have everything locked up in week number 17. Then you see players miss time. National Hockey League, you don't see this kind of a trend. You don't see this trend in Major League Baseball, where they play double the amount of games that the National Basketball Association is. So I guess really the question is, do you think this is an issue? And what does the NBA do about it if you do think it's an issue?
Obviously, it's been an issue for a handful of years, right? And obviously, the one argument that everybody uses is fans don't make that kind of money to be like, oh, I missed this game, I can just go to the next home game, right? I don't know how much tickets are for every NBA team, but just to use an example, Bulls tickets are $50 depending on where you're sitting. Right?
Hmm.
I think the upper the 300 levels are like 50, $55, something like that. Which by yourself, that's fine. All right, like I can if I'm going to a game by myself and it's like, oh, Demar's not playing this game or Zach's not playing this game. It's like, okay, I'm still going to the game because I paid for the ticket, but I'm by myself and it's like, all right, that's just $55. Maybe if I go to another game by myself, they'll all be playing that. But if I got that money and I'm trying to make it like a family outing and somebody don't play, yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of that's disappointing.
I mean, because you gotta. I mean, you watch that game that LeBron played against was supposed to play against the Golden State Warriors, and they had that girl sit on the bench, and she basically got that ticket so she could try to see LeBron. I mean, she hoped that he would break the scoring title during that game. He ended up not playing it, up sitting next to her, which is still a nice moment, but it's not the
Which is
same as like you buy the tickets, you're not expecting to see LeBron James as potential like make history.
right.
But yeah, this has been a serious problem, and I'm not totally sold that it even works as a method of preserving players. Like I think it throws you out of rhythm. I think you don't really never mesh with your teammates all that much because you
Yeah.
don't play with them all that much. I mean, nobody practices anymore in the NBA. It's very difficult for you to get in sync, especially when you have new players entered into the fold. Um, yeah, this is an issue for the NBA, but I'm not totally sure there's like a magic wand that you can just swing and fix this. Like
And
once the NBA kind of opened the box that allowed this in the first place, they've kind of they made their own bed kind of for it. I'm not sure what you
and
could do now.
I'm who knows what they can do, but it's so it used to be a badge of honor to play
Yeah,
all 82 games. Like players used to take pride in being able to say, I played all 82 games.
I mean
Right?
we do these go talk conversations like every week, right? And we have these players that are playing like upwards of 40 minutes a night, playing 80 minutes, 80 games a season. Like
80 games, yeah.
we don't just don't see that stuff out of players anymore. And I also think that like it just like I think 10 years ago, I think there was like 42 players that played all 82 games. I think the most past season, I think only 5 did.
So it's an issue, like it really is, because and obvious, like, so like Jalen Rose said something like, all right, if you're gonna load manage, do it for home games versus on the road. Like if I'm a Knicks fan, Steph Curry only comes to the Garden once a year. If I go to that game, if I go to Knicks Warriors and Steph Curry ain't playing, damn, I feel like that's a wasted ticket, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean,
Like,
if
like
that's the only if that's the only reason you bought the ticket, and I mean, imagine how heartbroken you'd be. Like it's the same thing with that Jimmy Butler fan who when Jimmy Butler was legitimately hurt, but you buy a ticket to go see a Miami Heat game against whoever what happened to be your hometown team, and you expect to see Jimmy Butler, and then he can't play because he's injured. Yeah, I
now,
mean that.
obviously not. Like, obviously, like we're not saying this is like those who are like out with like legitimate injuries, right? Like we're not coming at those. We're coming at the dudes. So it's like Izzy brought it up in the group chat. So Portland had 9 days off. The only person who really had All Star obligations was Damian Lillard, and it's an All Star game where it's an All Star game where you're not really playing all that hard. You're not really because you're not trying to exert yourself. And then your next game isn't until 3 days after the All Star game, and then you still sat him. It's like why? Like what was the point of sitting? Like what was the point of sitting him, Grant, Nurkic, and whoever else? Like what was the point of that?
Yeah.
They especially the other two dudes, like they literally just had 10 days off prior to that. Then you sack them some more.
And then on top of that, so these TV executives, the ones that have all the TV, like the reason that salary cap is so high and the players are able to make so much money is because of the new TV deals. But if you're a TV executive at a TV, like one of these guys at TNT or ESPN or ABC or Disney, like you're looking at, like, you got a marquee game. You expect to have a marquee game on a Saturday night, and you look at who you look. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, LeBron's not playing because of whatever, and you have all of these players are just missing games that are on marquee primetime television, and you paid a lot of money to get these players like this product on your airwaves, and now it's being watered down because players just simply don't want to play.
So like
and I think
we saw it happen, and I understand, like, because of different circumstances. It's not Lowe's money. It's just because both teams, well, one team started off good and then they blew it up, and like they're going downhill, and the other team has just never really been in it from the beginning. The Nets and the Bulls were supposed to play on ESPN a couple weeks ago, right? Or not a couple weeks, like a week ago. Like, it didn't help that the Nets got blew out by 45, but when you make that, when you schedule that game to be a national televised game at the start of the season, you're like, okay, it's going to be Kyrie, KD versus Zach and DeMar. Kyrie and KD, they're gone. Zach and DeMar have underachieved this season, so it's like, all right, the execs have no choice but to be like, damn, I got to pull that off national TV. I don't want that on my national TV slot.
Yeah, I mean, but when you're that close to the game time, and like, there's nothing you can really do. But I think one of the things that the interesting stuff that I've read on the internet about ways you can fix this, because we've all identified that it's a problem, and I don't think the NBA players are going to willingly make a change. Like, I think that they're like, yeah, we're going to get paid the same amount of money regardless, so it makes no difference to us whatsoever. You got to kind of hit players where it hurts, and like, if you're not eligible for like all an NBA team unless you play 72 games or more. You're not eligible for any of the.
That's most contracts anyway. Like, that's most contracts. Like, hey, you want to be all NBA? You got to hit this. You got to play this amount of games. You got to.
I'm not totally sure that is the case, because the contracts in the NBA are fully guaranteed. Like, all NBA teams are voted in by journalists. If you're not eligible to be voted for because you've missed too many games, like all NBA,
it literally happened. It literally happened to Klay Thompson. Why do you think Klay Thompson missed out on like $50 million because he missed an All NBA slot?
Well, sure, that contract I'm talking, but they're in the actual, like, getting a contract extension. You're 100% right. With, like, when Paul George signed his Supermax, or Bradley Beal actually is an even better example, because he made an All NBA team the season before he signed that Supermax contract. That's why he was eligible for it. So if you make it so, if you don't play 72 games or whatever, however you want to set the threshold at, if you don't play this considered amount of criteria, you're not eligible for any of the All NBA teams. You're not eligible for MVP. You're not eligible for Sixth Man of the Year. You're not eligible for, Most Improved Player. You name it. You will no longer be eligible for those awards. And we can make the same argument for All-Star appearance. If you don't play in at least 75% of your team's games before the All-Star break, you're not eligible for the All-Star game either.
And so Steve Kerr was like, one way to combat load management is to knock 10 games off the season, lower it from 82 to 72. And I'm like, that doesn't help, like, because people are just gonna strategically plan missing out on 72, like, not all 72, but it's like, all right, of these 72, I can set out 5 games. I can play 65 instead of 72. I can play 60 games instead of 72.
Because there's no amount of games that is all of a sudden going to be like, oh, well, that's the amount of games. Oh, I can play all those games. Like, the NBA players, they play it because they've fallen into this habit now. If they have the opportunity to play, to get paid and not have to play, it feels like they're just going to continue to do that. And the only way you can really affect, if you really want to get this out of the league, is to directly go after people's pocketbooks. Do away with the fully guaranteed NBA contracts. You get paid based on performance, based on how you perform on the court and when you perform on the court. Because as long as NBA contracts are guaranteed, and there's no downside to not missing games. If you don't, you got like a little, like, your ankle's messed up a little bit one day, or you're just not feeling it one day. I mean, like, you can just decide, I'm just not going to play, because it doesn't affect your pocketbook or anything else really at all. And the teams themselves,
teams themselves got to do better. CJ McCollum kind of blew the whistle on this because I think he's getting ready to what you call it. He's getting ready. He's setting his next career up. Like so, you already know he has a deal with
Well, he is the president of the Players Association right
no
now.
with that, and like he has a deal with ESPN where like during the off season he comes on. He's a studio analyst for like the NBA and whatnot. So he's getting the next part of his career started. But he kind of said it like when he was in Portland and they released the schedule. Him and Dame would look at the schedule together and be like, so like, are we playing this game? Like they would literally ask, like, hey, are we playing this game? Like, are we playing this Tuesday night in Orlando? Like, are we playing that game or are we sitting? And then the team would tell them yes or no to the games. Like, yes, you're playing. No, you're not. So it's like, is it really that's the next question. Like, is it really the player?
No, I do think there's for sure some ownership involvement in this as well, because if you are an owner, you don't really because you don't really care about the regular season as an owner. If you have a top flight basketball team and you're like, we're going to make the playoffs regardless of LeBron misses 30 games or whoever your player is, put player A, player B in that same scenario, and we're going to make the playoffs regardless. Even if our best player doesn't play for 30 games, we're more concerned about making sure that player is healthy when we get to times that it matters, which is the playoffs. And the NBA, because of the play-in as well, they've kind of watered down their own regular season, where they've kind of made it mean less and less. So, like a regular season game in January literally has almost no impact on an individual season outside of maybe some seeding stuff here and there.
It's definitely something that's gonna come. That's definitely something that's gonna come up in the next CBA agreement.
100%.
Because
there's no way it won't.
because like Charles Barkley, he said this is the one thing he said on First Take that actually made sense, and it's all right. The bigger these CBA contracts are, these TV deals are, the more money players are going to get paid, and eventually you're going to have dudes making 60, 70, 80 million dollars. And I don't know about you, but I'm not I don't want my $80 million superstar sitting out, because why the hell am I paying you? I'm paying you to
100%.
play.
Yep.
I'm paying you to play. Like, I don't want to pay you all that money for you to be like, all right, it's a Tuesday night in Detroit. We know Detroit's bad, but it's a Tuesday night in Detroit. You're not playing. Yeah, I understand I'm paying you $80 million, but you're not playing. Like, no. Hell no.
So the next CBA will be extremely interesting to see what ends up happening with load management. I'm going to make the argument. You basically you put a games played threshold into every single award. Like we talk about scoring title, like make the scoring title make that incorporated into how many games you actually played. Because I know last season Joel Embiid won the scoring title, but actually DeMar DeRozan scored more points last season.
Right. Like make it make sense.
Joel Embiid missed more games, and so his average was higher, and that's why he won the scoring title. That's the way it's always been calculated. But I think you have to go after NBA players where it matters. You take away the opportunity to win awards. You would take away the opportunity to represent your team as like an MVP or something, and I think that will eventually stir the chord. Because right now, we're not going to see a change unless the NBA puts their foot down and really puts pen to paper on a policy that makes real difference.
So like if it's a lockout come the next CBA, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
So I keep telling people this on Facebook and in various sports groups I'm in. I'm like, hey, I'm telling y'all right now, do not be surprised when the lockout happens. I'm telling you, and they're like, oh no, why would that? I'm like, all right,
I promise you, it's for sure gonna happen.
It's for sure gonna happen.
Moving on from this, try to slow down the comments section. What do you think should be done about load management? What do you guys think should be a remedy to fix this issue? Moving on, let's talk about midseason award predictions. As we did our awards predictions at the beginning of the season, now let's jump into what we think is going to happen now that we played 50-some games in the NBA season so far. Let's talk about MVP. Vegas has Nikola Jokic as the betting odds favorite to win. This was updated as of March 1st, so yesterday. With Joel Embiid at 2, Giannis 3, Jason Tatum 4, Luka Doncic 5, John Morant 6, and then Damian Lillard rounded out the top 7. If that math is correct, yeah, 7 guys. But if you had to pick a guy who you thought would be the most valuable player so far this season, who's it going to be, and who's going to win the award?
MVP. Oh, it's Joker. Joker won 2 MVPs when one year he was the 6th seed. The other year he was top 3, top 4.
Yeah.
And he averaged a triple double. So like this year he's averaging the triple double, and he's the 1 seed. So how do you deny him this year?
I think the only other 2 guys that even have a legitimate shot at this, I think, are Giannis and Jason Tatum. Especially Jason Tatum continues to play the way he's playing lately. But yeah, I think this is Nikola Jokic's award to win for sure.
Yeah.
Moving on from there, let's talk about Defensive Player of the Year. Betting favorites for that award right now. Actually, I don't have that. I will have to look it up. Okay, Jaren Jackson Jr., Brook Lopez is number 2, Bam Adebayo 3, Nick Claxton 4, Giannis Antetokounmpo at number 5. And I do not remember who we even had who I even had predicted would win the award at this point. Now that it's been so long ago since we did it.
I don't remember who I had either.
I don't remember.
The way Jaren Jackson, I think the only thing that's stopping Jaren Jackson is he blocks a lot of shots, but he still has foul trouble. He still can't defend and block shots without fouling. All right, like it's almost like you can pencil in Jaren Jackson for 4 fouls a game. I'm serious, right? And if you get to him, and the only thing that you really got to do is you got to keep challenging him. Like you can't be intimidated because he blocked your shot once or twice. Because if you keep going at him, more than likely you're gonna get those foul calls. You're gonna get a body call. You're gonna get something like it's gonna happen. So he's the betting favorite right now. I did not know Brook Lopez quietly.
Yeah,
second. Quiet.
Yeah, I mean, he's having a really good season from the defensive end of the ball. I mean, I think he's averaging like almost 2.5 blocks a game.
And Bam, and Bam, if the Heat were better, Bam would have a better argument.
Yeah, and I always want to see like those notable wing defenders, kind of be the guy who ends up winning this award. But there isn't really anybody that really stands out as a notable wing defender this particular season.
Well, I think because we've had so many high scoring performances this year. It's kind of And you look at the dudes who are doing the high scoring performances. Their primary defenders are other guards / wing players, right? Like we've had 2 70-point games this season, and most of the people that's guarding those dudes are other guards and wings. I don't know how many 50-point performances we've had. 40-point
we did that show a month ago now, or was it 2 months ago now? When we were talking about the scoring output in the NBA. We've had a billion high scoring points games since then. I mean,
so like literally the other night,
Damian Lillard had 72 points on like a ridiculous efficiency.
Yeah, 71 points, and he hit 13 to 22 threes.
And that crazy game against Sacramento and the Los Angeles Clippers. Two players went for 40 points in that game.
One off the bench, and one of them came off the bench. You dropped 42 off the bench. Nobody was playing. I went on Facebook. I'm like, 176 to 175. It wasn't an ounce of defense played in that game. And somebody was like, no, they was playing defense. Miles just couldn't miss. Then nobody was playing defense. That's do you not realize that's an oxymoronic statement? They was playing deep, nobody could miss. Then nobody was playing defense.
2.4 blocks a game for Brook Lopez so far this season, which is really impressive, actually. I think Jaren Jackson, Triple J, is probably going to win this award. He's been really good this season, and he was really good last season. He just didn't play enough games to be eligible for the award, so whatever. And then to Sixth Man of the Year, your Sixth Man of the Year, Russell Westbrook, probably no longer an option for that award.
Well, I ain't gonna go that far, bro. He started 3 games. How is he?
I mean, I imagine he's going to start the rest of the way, right? You're right. I don't know that. Given how things have gone in LA since he's gotten there, I'm not totally sure.
I'm not going to put that on him.
No, I'm not going to put it on either. But yeah, they need to shake something up a little bit. Sixth Man of the Year, we had awards. Malcolm Brogdon and Russell Westbrook actually tied with the top odds. Negative 165. Norman Powell, Tyrese Maxey, who's actually starting now again. So I don't know if he'll be eligible for this award. Benedict Mathurin, who came off the gate super hot. It's kind of cooled down a little bit here. And then Christian Wood was starting for a long time, a little bit for Dallas, but now is back to the bench after he came back from an injury. I gotta
Hmm.
be honest with you. I don't know who's gonna win this award. I thought Russell Westbrook, as long as he stayed in Los Angeles and he stayed in that role, I thought he was a lock to win this award. Now I'm not so sure. I mean, Norman Powell's doing some nice things off the bench in LA. Malcolm Brogdon is coming off the bench and doing nice things for a team
In
that's going to
Boston.
be the number 1 seed, number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. I don't
Well, it's
know.
probably him, but the whole thing with Westbrook and with the Lakers, again, we already know how that went down. He was the scapegoat. They needed somebody to blame. He was easy pickings. Boom. That's literally what happened. He was. I feel like if he goes to the Clippers, which obviously made the most sense, if he goes to the Clippers and all they do is just move him to the 6 man spot, but you don't want to do that because Norman Powell has been absolutely phenomenal for you off the bench.
Yep.
So you kind of like
And,
if
and
I'm
and they don't really have a point guard like that outside of him. Like Terrence Mann's not really a point guard. Bull Highland's kind of more of a two. They kind of need somebody to run their offense and put them in
and
good sets on occasion.
right
Because Paul
and
George and Kawhi Leonard were shouldering too much of the load, anyways.
and I'm not finna sit like yeah they're 0-3 since Westbrook signed, and I'm not finna sit here and let the
I think
Skip
they're one and
Bayless.
four or something like that.
No, they're 0-3.
Oh, okay.
I'm not the Mavericks are the one that's 1-4 since
Yeah. Okay.
Kyrie.
Thank you.
So I'm not finna.
We're,
But I'm
we're
not
gonna we're
finna.
gonna talk about
Yeah,
them
we're gonna
later.
get to about them. I'm not finna let the Skip Baylesses of the world be like, see, they're 0-3 and it's all Westbrook's fault. No, I'm not finna let you do that because the first game he fouls out. That was the second highest scoring game in NBA history.
Yeah, and
He
Paul
fou-
George is on a minute restriction, couldn't play in overtime.
Paul
They
George
win
on the
that.
bench,
They win that game if they don't lose both those guys.
or at least one. If they don't lose, if they just take the minute restriction off of Paul George, he's like, hey, bro, go crazy. Then yeah, different story. And then the second game,
And then the second game they went up against the Denver Nuggets team that is a really good unit, and then they got a Minnesota Timberwolves team that's been on a kind of an upswing. So I mean that's a tough 3 game stretch.
and the Nuggets game, Westbrook didn't even play in the fourth quarter in overtime. Westbrook didn't play. And then the Timberwolves game, like you said, it's just whatever happened. But I'm
Yeah,
not finna sit here and say it's his fault.
Westbrook has been getting them in good sets. He's been getting them playmaking opportunities. But yeah, but back to the 6 man of the year. I think Malcolm Brogdon probably makes the most sense to win this award. He's been probably the most important bench player so far this season.
Yeah, I would give Malcolm Brogdon, or if he stays in that role, Norman Powell.
Yeah. Moving on from, I think it's probably the most clear-cut award of all of the ones on this screen here. It's the most improved player of the year award.
Is it clear
Uh,
cut?
I think that you'd have a hard time not giving it to Lauri Markkanen unless something really goes south with his game over down the stretch here. I know that SGA has a legitimate argument. You know, he was a first-time All-Star too. But, you know, this is the kind of the conversation we talked about with, like, even though John Morant did actually win the award last year, like SGA was like already good last season. Like
Well, it
his,
was SGA's probably missed too many games to qualify now, but
maybe.
it's not.
I mean, Jalen Brunson, Tyler Halliburton is another guy. Cam Thomas, who had that stretch of 4 games in a row or 3 games in a row. 40
He
points
is
in a row.
not going to win most improved off of 4 games.
No. But I think I think Lauri Markkanen's got this kind of sewed up, dude.
It's probably Jalen Brunson.
I would give it to Lauri Markkanen. I mean, Lauri Markkanen, where Lauri Markkanen's game was at this time last year, compared to what it is now, that is substantial growth.
Yeah, it's probably going to be. I don't know how they. I really don't know what they're going to base it off of because the Jazz got off to such a hot start and they've come back down to earth like we predicted. But Jalen Brunson, what he's done for the Knicks, I understand they are just what are they, the 5th seed?
Yeah, they won 6 games in a row.
But that's what they are. That's
Tom
what they are.
Tom Thibodeau actually smiled during a game yesterday.
Like that's what they are. Like they are. I don't ever see the Knicks being a top 3 seed as currently constructed. They need that,
especially not over who the teams that they're chasing right now with the Cavaliers,
right.
Sixers, Boston, and Milwaukee. I just don't see it.
And they need that superstar to put them over the top. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but Randall Brunson, Barrett, you're not superstars. You're very nice players. That's what you are.
Especially RJ Barrett's been extremely disappointing so far this year.
So, like,
but yeah,
but
I think Lauri Markkanen is going to win this award. I wouldn't be shocked if SGA won it if he plays enough game to be quote unquote eligible. But yeah, give me Lauri Markkanen to win this award.
I started off saying Lauri Markkanen, but I don't know. I think at some point in time we do have to value winning, and if Jalen Brunson is the key catalyst of a Knicks team that didn't make the playoffs last year, and he has them up into the fifth seed this year. Like, we literally saw Tom Thibodeau win Coach of the Year because he got them to a 4 seed. Like, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Like,
yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna stick with Lauri Markkanen. I think his story, his narrative is probably better than Jalen Brunson, who was good. If you remember correctly, he was pretty good.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he wasn't as good. He's not as good as he is now, but we'll see. 2 Rookie of the Year and top 5 odds makers: Paolo Banchero, Benedict Mathurin, Walker Kessler in the top 3. Jaden Ivey, and then Jalen Williams. I think that's the Jalen Williams from the Thunder. At one time, I don't know what Jalen Williams it is though. It's one of them. But Paolo Banchero is probably my lock to win this award. The dude has just been, when he's healthy, he's been the most impressive rookie so far this season. He's averaging close to 20 points a game, basically 7 rebounds, basically 4 assists, shooting at 42% from the field. That's pretty good production out of a guy who was the first overall pick, and I think he will end up being.
It's expected. Like, we at some point in time, rookies putting up numbers on bad teams.
I mean, the Magic are they're not even as bad as people thought they'd be. I mean, they got 25 wins so far this season. That's not terrible.
Where are they in the standings?
I mean, yeah, but
Okay,
they're only 1 game out of the play-in, 2 games out of the play-in.
Where are they in the standings?
They're currently 12th.
No.
But they're 4.5 games back in the play-in. I didn't really actually that math. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, but they have 26 wins. They only got 3 less than the Bulls.
And we've come to we found out pretty quick that the Bulls aren't. Yeah. So saying they only have 3 less wins than the Bulls. Is that really saying something? Like,
that's it's saying something because you're saying it.
Is it really saying something? And the Mavericks are just killing the 76ers right now. Rookie of the Year Walker Kessler kind of just snuck up in there because no one thought he'd be. Well, I thought this because I'm like,
I thought he blocked a lot of shots. I mean, he's 7'2".
Yeah, he's 7'2", got a pterodactyl wingspan.
Did he lead the college in blocks?
He led the NCAA in blocks. This was a dude who was teammates with Houston.
He was Auburn. He was Jabari Smith. He was teammates with Jabari Smith, and we're like, and I think that's the dude who everybody thought would be in this award, in this race. And Jabari Smith has not had a good rookie year, quiet as kept. I mean, no, for sure not. His deficiencies on the offensive end of the ball have been exposed in a really not good way. He can't facilitate his own offense. He needs everything created for him. And that's kind of what the debate was when people were talking about him in the draft process. He just doesn't have those intangibles, that flashy stuff to really be a difference on offense without being assisted. He can shoot it when he's open, and he's a pretty solid defender. But as a player that's going to be a focal point of an offense, I don't think he's ever going to get there.
And no one is. Right, no one's lobbing him. I don't know. I just think he's just not in a good situation in Houston. That's just me.
I think that situation is kind of a mess all around. So
yeah,
none of those guys are really developing the way they should be.
And Benedict Mathurin is coming off the bench in Indianapolis again. I think he's playing for a coach in Rick Carlisle who really it takes a lot for him to play rookies. Unless your name is Luka Doncic, then it's you're playing him. He is not coming off your bench. He is he's the guy. But Rick Carlisle, we already know he's a veteran coach. With him, you have to be coachable. Right? And Benedict Mathurin has proved to be a very coachable rookie. But yeah, this is probably going to be Bankero's award to lose, just because it's I. If not him, then who?
Yeah.
That's really what it's falling down to.
Because Benedict Mathurin started the season on like a scorcher, but he's for sure cooled off as of late. But yeah, I think Paulo Banchero probably wins this award. To the final award we'll talk about here today, Coach of the Year.
Mike,
The betting odds right now is Joe Mazzulla, Mike Brown, Michael Malone, Taylor Jenkins, and then Doc Rivers. And I can't imagine a scenario where Joe Mazzulla does not win this award. Given
Mike
the
Brown.
scenario,
It's Mike Brown. I understand.
I think I'm going to respectfully disagree with you. I think Joe Mazzulla ends up being the coach of the year, given what he had to deal with, like coming in for Udoka. And, dealing with
so he had to deal with a situation that his team created.
Yeah, it would have been easy. It would have been easy to just
I'm gonna applaud you for handling the mess that your front office created. No,
Yeah,
I'm not doing that.
yeah, I'm giving it to him. Also coming off the championship hangover, this team has not missed a beat. I got Joe Mazzulla, and
No,
I respectfully think Mike Brown is going to for sure have a conversation. He's going to get some votes, but I think Joe Mazzulla is going to win this award.
yeah, Mike Brown. For you to end probably the most dreaded curse in the NBA. Again, this is a sports franchise in the Sacramento Kings who they've had to deal with bad teams, 50,000 coaches,
Yeah.
relocation rumors.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I don't think he's going to win the award. I reserve the right to be wrong though. So
like for them to be like, all right, like you, and let's not act like they were hesitating about giving him this job when he takes over for Steve Kerr last year for a few games.
The report was that if they hadn't already hired him, they wouldn't have.
If they didn't already hire him, they wouldn't have. And this is coming off a 50-point loss to the Memphis Grizzlies in the playoffs, no less. But still,
without Ja Morant,
without Ja Morant, like you got to add that part. Without Ja Morant, and yeah, but for him to go from that to having this team third in the West, again, no one's talking about the Kings.
It's true.
The third.
Moving on for some rapid fire, something, nothing, everything. And KG, I got 6 topics for you. Kevin Durant makes his return to the Phoenix Suns in his first game. He drops over 20 points. He plays over 20 minutes. Something, nothing, everything.
Nothing. It was against the Charlotte Hornets. I'd be more disappointed if he didn't drop 20 points on the efficient shooting that he did.
It's something. The fact that he's back on the court showed no nagging signs of that injury.
It's nothing. It's the Charlotte Hornets.
It's something. He's back on the court.
It's the Charlotte Hornets with no LaMelo Ball. It's the Charlotte Hornets that's going for.
I know.
I'm like no.
It's for sure. It's something. He's back on the floor. I think that's got to be something worth celebrating.
For Matt to be like, oh, he nailed my expectations, dude. It's the Hornets.
They got nobody to guard. They got nobody to guard you. I mean, he should have gone for 30. Let's be real. LeBron James expected to miss at least 3 more weeks with this right foot injury. Something, nothing, everything.
Well, obviously for the Lakers, it's everything because. For them, it's everything. For me, it's nothing because I don't think they were going to make the playoffs anyway with him. So him being out for the next 3 weeks, I get it. You beat an OKC team, but you lost to the Memphis Grizzlies, which I understand. Like that's
Ja Morant went bananas in the second half and basically beat them up.
Ja Morant went bananas in the third quarter. He dropped 28 in the third, and so to me, this is nothing because, again, I didn't have them making the playoffs to begin with.
I have them making the playoffs. I still find a way to get in. This is everything. Missing LeBron James, the catalyst for this team. The reason that you traded away some of the other stuff on this roster was to facilitate what LeBron James does well. And D'Angelo Russell's also out now. Yeah, this is everything. Steph Curry expected to return Sunday, way sooner than me and Izzy, and I don't know about you, but I thought he'd be out for a really long time. Like this injury sounded nasty. It sounded terrible. I thought it might cost him majority of the regular season, if not all of it. Expected to return on Sunday. Something, nothing, everything.
Something. This is again. I don't know why, but they're like, we're waiting on that Warrior push, that Warrior run. I'm like, all right, you're gonna keep waiting.
I mean, they're the five seed. They're the five seed right now. Shocking. Surprisingly, they're the five seed. They kept the ship pretty afloat in the Steph Curry absence. He also benefited the fact that the All Star break was in between that.
So,
This is
but
everything.
at the same time, it's how much of this burden, can he continue to carry?
Yeah,
How much?
I don't disagree with you. I just think this is for Golden State Warriors and that franchise and that fan base. It's everything. Getting Steph Curry back, he's the only one that really makes this engine go. Without him,
Because
they just kind of
we are like
float
what's
around.
his name? Jordan Poole he's been fantastic
Yeah,
in his absence, but Steph Curry comes back. Jordan Poole is like he don't have that kind of free range. Like he don't have that kind of that quote unquote green light when Steph Curry is there. Like it helps, but I don't know. Like, yeah, for the Warriors, it's everything. My best player is coming back. We can try to make that push and see where it gets us. But to me personally, it's just a something because of how the season's gone for them. They're 33-30.
and then we got the final three. The first one has to do with the Los Angeles Clippers, 0-3 with Russell Westbrook on the roster. Something, nothing, everything.
Something. It just in the terms of it just gives those who hate Russell Westbrook and this narrative out against him. It just gives them something to talk about. It just gives them more finger pointing, more blame deflecting. Forget the fact that in these 3 games you've given up 176. Whatever the Clippers scored, and whatever the Nuggets scored in OT,
34.
134, and whatever the Timberwolves scored the other night.
Yeah, this is nothing. The fact that implementing a new piece, especially somebody who's going to be as ball dominant, Russell Westbrook is going to take some time. You played 3 playoff teams back to back to back. It's nothing. The Clippers are going to be fine. To the other team that added a new piece that's been struggling as of late, except for in tonight's game, where they're beating down one of the better teams in the Eastern. Beating down one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. But Luke and Kyrie 1-4 as a pairing. They had a game, I think it was the night before, where Kyrie tried to take the game-winning shot and missed. Luka Doncic did not get a touch on that offense possession. 1-4 for Luka and Kyrie with all of the stuff around this.
Again. Just like Westbrook, it's something, right? It gives those who don't like Kyrie something to talk about, and I don't like it. I understand that you don't. I get you don't watch Undisputed, and dude, I tip my hat out to you because I've tried it. I try not to watch it, but I'm just so invested into the show that I just watch it. Like I'm just
I don't even have the channel it airs on, so I can't even watch
like,
it. So.
Bro, like. Even if you did watch it, I don't even think you would. Like, I legit think you would make it past the first topic. Like, I sort of. So, like, Skip Bayless has it in his mind that Luka's mad. He's frustrated. He's pouting that Kyrie Irving's here and he's taking his shots and it's just like, no, that's just not true at all, dude. Like, so the other day, like, they had a shot to win it. And Kyrie, the play was drawn up for Kyrie Irving, and Skip Bayless is like, "Oh, that's not sitting right with Luka." It's just like, what are you talking about?
I mean, they've combined for 64 points tonight. I mean, they're going to be fine. This is close to nothing. I mean, this is the same deal as when we talked about Westbrook. I mean, you add a piece that changes your landscape of your team, where a guy is going to have the basketball in his hands, is going to run your offense through him, and he's going to need to have the basketball.
Takes the pressure off. It takes the pressure off of Luka. Like
there's going to be some. It takes some time for that to mesh well together. This is nothing for me.
And it's gonna need, like, just like Westbrook and the Lakers and the Mavs, you're gonna need more than 23 games.
Yeah,
that's like you're gonna need like everything from this point on, from the All-Star break on, is a rush job because I've never seen the All-Star game this late into the season.
Yeah, they've for sure shifted it because they've made it so it's way later in the season. Yeah, so we'll see. This is nothing for me. I only put it on the list because it fires up the haters, I guess.
I guess.
Moving on from there, let's talk about Damian Lillard. This will be the last one. He goes for 71 points a couple days ago. He dropped, again, in a game where they won 131 to 114. Logo Lillard, yes, 8th player in NBA history to go for 70 points or more in a single game. Something, nothing, or everything.
Again, something. It's a feat, right? 71 in the game is 70 points in the game is that, bro, that's hard. And for him to do it as efficiently as he did it, everybody was trying to talk about him and Donovan Mitchell's 70-point game. Like, the difference is he did this in 4 quarters. Mitchell got an extra period. Yeah. Mitchell got overtime and bad officiating. Damian Lillard was literally taking 2-3 dribbles past half court, letting it go. He dropped 41 at half.
It's the most efficient game with at least 70 points in NBA history. Shot 22 of 38 from the field, 13 of 22 from three-point range, 14 of 14 from the free throw line. A true shooting percentage of 80%.
So like you think about that. So he only got to the free throw line 14 times. Donovan Mitchell got to the line 25 times. He was 20 of 25 from the free throw line. So he had more free throw attempts. He had an extra period. He had an extra 5 minutes to do it, and bad officiating. I'm gonna keep throwing that out there. The officiating.
He shoot shots from like the logo, man.
Like, do you see where he? And I don't know if I'm like what I'm more surprised at. Like, am I more surprised that he went for the points that he went for? Or am I more upset at the Houston Rockets for being like, hey, we should probably get the ball out of his hands?
Dude, I like pick him up at half court. Like trap him at half court, make him get rid of the basketball. Don't let him shoot it from that's if he makes a couple in a row. Like that, you obviously feel when he's cooking. And like once you hit one, man, the rim just looks enormous. Like you can literally shoot it from anywhere and it'll go in.
So like Houston is just like, oh,
and I'm only talking that as somebody who has experience like playing basketball at the rec, dude. Like you ever play basketball at the rec and there's like that one dude, like once he hits one, it just you're done. Like that's Damian Lillard, dude. Like,
it's usually not one. It's maybe like 2, maybe 3, and it's like all right. It's like all right.
There's for sure. I play up at the Speeds Field House in Fort Wayne. I play with this guy on a regular basis. If he hits one shot, I know it's over. Like I know he's gonna get hot.
What made me more mad, and like everybody on Twitter is like killing him for it, and it's like it's just the Rockets or like the Rockets team. It's like you waited till he hit 60 to be like, oh, we should double. Too late now.
Yeah. From something, nothing, everything. One of the staples here at the Prime Sports World is the crossover, and let's do us a quick GOAT talk.
Quick GOAT talk. Just because we're kind of pressed for time, I'm not gonna make you guess the players, even though that's the fun part in all of this. Yeah. The first player is JJ Redick, who you can definitely make the argument that he was a better college player just because of his accomplishments versus what he did in the pros. Just to name off a few.
His first couple of years in the NBA were rough, but like he really rounded into shape. Like when he was in Orlando, he was kind of an afterthought. But like once he got to like later in his career, when he went to the Clippers and like became like the player that he would become, he didn't reach double figures in his career up until his 5th year in Orlando. Yeah,
he didn't but
I mean, he also didn't play a lot in those Magic teams, those early Magic teams, because
he didn't.
Because they were trying to win the title.
Right. He the 1 year he played, the 1 year he averaged double figures. Was that 2009? Was that 2009, 2010? No, that was the next year, 2010, 2011. Whatever year they went to the finals. What year did they go to the? Oh, so like 2008, 2009. Like that was his. So he goes to the finals his 3rd year in the league. Yeah, he's not playing. He's not taking minutes over Jameer Nelson and Courtney Lee at the other guard spot. But yeah, he really came into his own, like Milwaukee, the Clippers, Philly, yada yada woo woo. And the second player is Jeff Teague. Jeff Teague, he won a ring. Like the only accomplishment he has was a one-time All-Star, and he won a ring with the Bucks but he was not a
He
contributor.
contributor. I'm still gonna take Teague in this debate. I just think that he was so important to those Hawk teams while they were relevant and going to, like, they had the best record in the Eastern Conference for one season. And I know they didn't work out well in the playoffs, but I think if I'm gonna be picking between these two guys, I gotta go Jeff Teague.
I gotta go JJ Redick, because he came into his own, and like he was like, I think I would have, because so many people who hated JJ Redick in college wanted him to fail as a pro. Like, yeah. JJ Redick was probably the first Duke villain since Christian Laettner. Like, people, like, I don't know, because I know you're not really big into college basketball. JJ Redick at Duke was a menace. People hated him.
He talks about it a lot during his broadcasts and stuff. Whenever they talk about players, like, but yeah, he was he was not a particularly liked NBA player. But yeah, he turned his NBA career into really something special.
Yeah, he was good. He was a marksman. He was cold. Like, he was crucial for those Clippers. So, like, the argument that you made for Jeff Teague with the Hawks, you can make the same argument for JJ Redick with the Clippers. Like, when it was when it was Chris Paul, Redick, and whoever else on the court, and it's like, do I want Blake Griffin dunking on my team, or do I want JJ Redick lighting me up? Which one do I? And it's like, I'm gonna live with Blake Griffin dunking on my team.
I'm still rolling with Jeff Teague. That's my final answer. Yeah, that's been our crossover, the load management debate. In this today's show, we talked about load management. We talked about all the different awards. Everything, and we did a go talk.
And real quick, so Jeff Teague, 10,061 points. That's 12.2 a game. 1,989 rebounds, 2.4 a game. 4,585 assists. That's 5.6 a game. JJ Redick, on the other hand, 12,028 points, 12.8 or 13 a game. 1,903 rebounds, 2 rebounds a game, and 1,862 assists. That's 2 point rebounds a game. Again, JJ Redick's a lot taller than people give him credit for. JJ Redick 6'4"? Did you know that?
Know that? Yeah, I did.
I did not know that. I thought JJ Redick was out there like little 6'2", like,
no, he's not like Trevor Forget. He was for sure like all of 6'4". But yeah, I've been David Huffman right there. It's Mr. TJ Hopkins. This has been our episode of the Crossover. Please like, share, and subscribe. Keep an eye out here in a few minutes. We're going to be starting up our next offseason preview episode. We're going to be talking about the NFC East, including the team that represented the NFC in the Super Bowl. Keep an eye out for that content. We're going to start that show in about 5 minutes. I'm David Huffman. Right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. And TJ, what do we do here at the Prime, my friend?
JJ Redick was better than Jeff Teague, but anyway, we bring the heat, and we're gonna
not only do we bring the heat, we all wish you a very happy early birthday, my friend. What is your birthday on the 5th? Sunday.
5th. And real quick, shout out to my older brother Jeff. Today is his 32nd birthday, all the way in Bahrain, serving the country, all that good stuff. Salute to my older brother. Love you, B.
Yeah, well, I'll see you in a couple minutes, man.
See you in a couple minutes.